So first thing on the agenda, of course, is the acceptance of our November minutes, which Laura has published. I think you've all received them and perhaps have had an opportunity to read them. So I'd like to have a motion to accept the minutes as prepared.
I move we accept the minutes.
Okay, motion been made. Can I have a second? Deborah Rolfe is seconded. Is there any need for discussion? Hearing no need for discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous. Very good. While we're talking on that subject, I did have a couple of action items in those minutes that I want to discuss for a minute. One of them was to send the garden registration form for printing to our town clerk, and I believe that's been done. It's been printed on green paper. James is nodding his head up and down, yes.
Yep.
So it's ready to go when the January census goes out. So that was accomplished. The other item had to do with the food pantry and offering garden plots with no requirement for a fee for participants at the food pantry. I did bring that to Mary's attention, and she was thankful. She thanked us for doing that. And so that was taken care of as well. So that being done, I move on to the treasurer's report.
So we have $4,085.34 in the grant funding. This includes like everything that I know about that's outstanding. I don't know if there's anything that's going to come up tonight.
Not at the moment. The only bill that we've submitted recently was a little while back for the material for $737.07. So I think that's been reflected in this.
That's already that's already recorded.
Okay, that's the only hit on the grant funds that I'm aware of at this point.
Okay. Donation account has $1,965 and a penny. And the budget has $1,072.67.
I'm sorry, Laura, I didn't hear the figure.
1,072.67.
Thank you.
So
now that should have been hit with some of Buddy's invoicing for the plowing.
It's got 275 in it.
Okay.
That was hit. Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good.
And the only new thing that came in, which I'll tell you now, so I don't have to tell you later, but in the mailbox today, I picked up this afternoon, was another National Grid bill. Current charges on it were $11.30, which is kind of in line with what we've been paying. So,
right.
Which is why I think I probably have to come up there tomorrow, Carlin.
Okay.
Give you that.
All right, we'll be here. We're not leaving the farm very much these days. Grocery shopping's about it.
Just promise not to shoot anybody who tries to come on the property. That's all.
Oh no. As long as it's daytime, you're safe. Got to be here before 4:30.
Okay.
Okay. So is that it for the treasurer's report?
That's it for the treasurer's report.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report as presented.
I move we accept the treasurer's report.
Okay, motion been made. And second. Somebody second it?
That's my turn.
Okay, Deborah's gonna second it. Any need for discussion? Hearing no need for discussion, all in favor? All right.
Right.
Okay. Very good. Incoming correspondence.
So like I said, I picked up the mail today, and the only two pieces of paper in the mailbox were Mass Farm Bureau News and Views newspaper thing that we get.
Yeah.
And the National Grid bill. Now, interestingly enough, our total due is $35.77. $11.30 of that are current charges. So yeah, we haven't paid it for a couple months. So
Well, the bills were submitted.
I know.
You had some bills last month and I forwarded them to our town accountant. They're in there, so.
and I have to wonder because I have not seen any of our little reconciliation things between them, and I asked about it. And she said they can't do anything until they close out last year. So I think they're probably still trying to close out last year.
Okay.
That may be it.
Worst thing that can happen is they shut the juice off down there and the mice will have to go around in the dock. That's all. All right. So, yeah, when you get a chance, if you want to drop that bill off, I assume, I will do like I've been doing, just send it in under my signature, and you all have no problem with me processing that $11.30 for payment, right?
No.
Okay, thank you. All right.
Correct.
All right. How about emails?
So there weren't very many. And I'm not even going to talk about like the regular newsletter stuff, whatever. Unless you really want me to.
No.
So there was, I'm sorry, what?
Unless somebody else does.
Oh,
No.
so there was one press release from the state about a new $10 million grant program providing state cultural organizations some relief from COVID. I didn't know if Deb might, it doesn't say cultural.
Yeah, there's supposed to be
Council.
like art facilities, and I was thinking that would be more like 19 Carter, where they do music and
Yeah,
all that they would be eligible for it.
yep.
That's what I read into it.
I
Yeah,
didn't actually read the whole thing. I'm just like kind of going on the title.
Yeah, I think I saw something on that same subject, and I think Deborah is correct there. It has to do with organizations like 19 Carter, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's correct.
So another thing from the state was that Baker Polito administration awards over 4.7 million to support food security in Massachusetts. I thought just might be of interest to people.
I saw in the newspaper, I think under that grant, that Holiday Farms received $1,000 and change. I think it was just under $1,100. I don't remember the exact number, for improved refrigeration system.
Oh.
To keep her produce fresh. So that's good. That's good.
Good to know. And then this is one that I'm not sure it applies to us, but this came today from Margaret, the town administrator. Notice of Town of Berlin's website training, which will be Thursday, January 14th from noon to 4. So it's a 4-hour training session. It'll be online. And it was talking about it applied to any departments in the town that have a website page.
Have a website, what did you say?
Page.
Page, okay,
Yeah, it came
Page.
across as age.
okay, page, P-H.
Sorry.
Okay, we didn't hear the P.
Yeah, all right. All right, I got it now. Okay,
So I don't know if we don't actually have a page, do we?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right now I think it kind of has some, it has like a couple notices. I think something relating to the legislation from the state that allows us to create the AgCom and stuff like that. So it just sort of explains what we are and
So it's just an information
why.
page.
Yeah.
I actually looked at it yesterday, I think, because I got a phone call from somebody about the garden, and they're an out-of-town gardener, and I was referring them to the webpage, and I had said that the application would be put on. So I went to look to see how I could find it if I needed to, so I could tell these people how to do it. And they do have for the community garden, a link to go to our former rules and regulations. That was, if there's a thing about the garden, and then there's a link to go to the 2018 rules. So I know we have to update that, and when we-
Yeah, that's on my to-do list.
and the new
I think
application.
James was assigned that last month.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
that's okay.
Christmas
I-
trees.
Susie gets rid of the remaining 45 Christmas trees.
Yeah,
I told the person, I said, it's not gonna be up there till the middle of January anyway, because
Right.
it's going out with the census. So as soon as the census stuff goes out, then that's when it should be available to anybody.
Yeah,
that
we-
wants to do it.
We need to put up the current rules and regulations, and as you're pointing out, Deborah, as soon as the registration form goes out in January, we ought to put that online as well, James, if we could.
yeah, I have that on my calendar, so
Okay, good, thank you.
we'll get that up there.
Perfect.
So
right.
I guess my question is, do we need to send somebody to this website training thing?
But James should put that
I'm-
on his
Or
calendar.
is James already going because of
I'm-
other commitments?
I'm fairly well versed in it already.
All right.
And so I can check in on it. Just to see. I've been working on this site a little bit already though, so I'm somewhat familiar with the system.
Okay.
All right, that'll be good, James, if you could do that for us.
Yeah, and if anyone else wants kind of a crash course in it, I can meet up with you independently of that if that ends up being more convenient. But in the meantime, I can make any changes that we want to the page without any issue.
We'll leave it up to you. Us older guys could care, don't want to get started.
Yeah.
I agree. All right, James, very good, thank you. Anything
Well,
else?
No, that was it. But I will add that I did take a crash course on website design over the summer. So yeah, I just wanted to make sure it was covered.
All right,
And if you need a backup, I can probably wing it. I don't know about what systems the town is using and whatnot, but anyway.
Yeah, it runs on a platform called Drupal, which is kind of similar to WordPress in some ways, but
Okay.
basically you have like an interface for the back end, and you can just kind of like type content in wherever it's appropriate. But it's good for things like the town because people don't really have a lot of control over the actual layout of the page, which you don't necessarily want if you have a lot of people editing it. So it works out well, but sometimes it makes the editing process a little weird just because you don't see what it's going to look like until you hit publish. But
Yeah.
it also
All right.
streamlines that process too because you just go in and type and that's it. That's all you got.
all right, very good. Appreciate
That's
it.
all I've got.
All right, thank you. Moving on to old business, the maintenance of the community garden shed. I thought Buddy was gonna be online with us tonight. I did have an earlier conversation with him. He's got all of the siding
He's
on.
actually here.
Oh, here we go.
He was in the attendee thing. I missed him.
Yeah,
Thought the meeting started at 7:30.
Yeah, we'll see how long he's been waiting there. I may have.
Oops. I hate it when I do that.
let's give it a minute here, see if Buddy's gonna come on. Linda can sit in for him probably.
Buddy, you're muted and we have no visual.
There we go. Now we got Buddy's name. We're getting there. Well, maybe while we're waiting, I can continue talking about the maintenance of the community garden shed. So as I was saying, he's got all the siding on. It looks really great. He's got all the trim boards just about all on, so it looks good. So basically, the task is done. The only remaining item would be the ramp, and we'll have to wait till we have some better weather to put that in, because there may be a need to dig down into the soil to make it flush with the threshold of the shed. So that won't be done probably until the springtime, but we have all the material and everything for it. Based on the preliminary discussion I had with Buddy, I think tonight he's going to probably present us with an invoice for the final amount. And based on my general understanding of that, it's going to come in within the budget that we established back in October. Back in October, we established a budget to maintain the shed of between $1,400 and $1,500. So I believe when he's prepared to submit his final invoice, it's going to be within that budget. So that'll be good. So we'll have to see if he's able to come online and give us more detail. So that's what I know about the maintenance of the shed. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Oh, it looks really good. One of the gardeners sent a picture to me.
Oh, good.
Yeah, it looks great.
I think you're gonna really like the new door arrangements. They're a lot lighter and sturdier than the old doors that we had there. So, but you're right. It does look good, and so it's just I think we're down to the ramp, which he'll take care of in the springtime. So moving on to the other subjects, we basically at our last meeting agreed to put the discussion concerning additional raised beds, seasonal garden fencing, and also the security camera. Basically put that all on hold until after the first of the year. Unless, Deborah, you have something you want to contribute there?
No, all I've been doing is feeding kids and changing diapers, so.
Oh, okay. Don't go into detail, please.
No, I won't. So there hasn't been a whole bunch of extra time to do anything
No, I
right now.
understand that, and that's why we discussed at the last meeting that we postponed all those matters until after the first of the year. All right, we still don't have Buddy amongst us, so continue moving on here. Under new business, the FY22 budget in the amount of $1,330, as we discussed and approved at November's meeting, was submitted to the town administrator on the 12th within the time frame required. I haven't heard any feedback, so at the moment, we'll let sleeping dogs lie. Moving on to the next subject, review of the annual report, the draft I sent out. I think you've all had an opportunity to look at it. Does anybody have any comments or questions? I have since received input from Deborah relative to the blanks I had in the draft. And Deborah, I just have one clarifying question there.
Mhm.
You talked about 18 plots and that there were 5 gardeners from neighboring towns.
Mhm.
Those 5 gardeners were within the 18 plots that were,
Yes,
okay.
yeah, the total number of plots were 18 and the 5 gardeners
Were
each
from
have.
out of town. Okay, very good. All right, so I've reflected that in the draft. Does anybody else have any comments or questions or concerns? There's no part of authorship here on this annual report, so if you have some comments, now's the time to speak. I'm going to ask for a motion to approve the annual report for forwarding to the town clerk as drafted then, with the changes that we just discussed, we inserted that there were 18 plots utilized out of the 30, and that 5 garden members were from other communities.
I moved, we accept it.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, Kevin.
I move that we accept it.
Okay, so motions are made to accept the annual report as distributed and amended. You have a second on that? We want to second it? Deborah's going to second it? She's our second person tonight.
Yeah, Kevin and I are a tag team tonight.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Is there a need for any further discussion? Hearing no need, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, I will put this in final form. And we will forward it to the town clerk's office and a copy to our town administrator as well. Okay, where am I here? So, back on the 18th of November, a couple of days before that, I got an email from representatives of the Harvard Community Garden, and they wanted to go down and look at our solar irrigation system. And we wanted more details as to how it worked and things of that nature. And it was, I got to tell you, it was a freezing windy day when we met down there. We spent about an hour trying to think of the woman's name now, Mary somebody. In any event, Mary Keefe, I guess it was, and there was another lady with her as well. So I went through all the details as to how it operated and where the tanks were and the size of the tanks and how it functioned and how we got support from Trinity and things of that nature. So they were interested in it. They did express an interest in possibility of acquiring it. Let me put it that way. They certainly didn't make any commitments. So on that basis, I think I sent you a copy of the email I sent to our town administrator on the 18th of November, pointing out that we had such a meeting and that these people had a potential interest in buying it, and that if no one else in town, with respect to other committees, had an interest in it, I would go forward to Trinity and ask them what they thought the system would be worth at this point. The system consisting of the solar panel, the control panel that's in the shed, and the pump. I have yet to hear back from our town administrator. So I will give this a little bit more time because there's no real sense of urgency at the moment. And I will follow up with her within the next week or so to see if she's made any decision as to whether we should go forward and start preparing an estimate to forward to the people in Harvard. Is that acceptable to everybody, that we take that approach?
Yes.
Okay. So that's all I have to say on that particular subject. Let's see. So the next item, rototiller donation. So here's the situation there. I have this Husqvarna rototiller. I think it's about a 5 horsepower. It's not a huge one. I have used it at the farm. I believe it has some life left in it. I haven't had it operating for a couple of years. So I was wondering if you thought it might be something worthwhile having at the community garden. I don't know if, Deborah, if you have any thoughts on that. I know like last year when we were down there, one of our gardeners, Charlie Sauter, when I was down there with my larger rototiller putting in the irrigation line, he asked me if I would till his garden for him, and I agreed to do that. So there's usually quite a time span between when Buddy plows the garden in the springtime And then when people get ready to actually put seeds in the ground or plants. So, you know, it might be a good thing to have that available for people if they want to use it before they garden. There are some administrative aspects of it, you know. It would have to be, the oil would have to probably be changed once a year, and we might have to keep a gallon of gas on hand. And I thought it might be appropriate to see if we could approach a gardener, and I had Charlie in mind, sort of the overseer, if you will, of this machine, if you wanted to go forward with this. And because I know he's more than capable of knowing how to operate these things.
Mm.
And we could see if he'd be willing to, you know, help people if they want to use it, to show them how to operate it and things of that nature. We just wouldn't want to have a novice go in there and try using it, not knowing what they're doing. So those are my thoughts. So I don't know if you wanted to go forward with something like that or not. The other thing I had in mind was because the unit hasn't been used in some time, we would definitely need to have somebody work on it. And I thought we might want to ask the highway department if they would be willing to see if they could get it going. And if they incurred any costs relative to pots, we could perhaps reimburse them out of our donation account. You know, certainly it's going to need a spark plug, and it's going to need an oil change, and I don't know what else it might need, but I think there's some serviceable hours still in it. And once they got it up and running, I also am aware that it needs a new set of tines. So that would be the last thing one would do to it. And I made an inquiry at Robinson's. I had all the part numbers. I got all the manuals for it and everything. I had the part numbers. And a set of new tines is $64 and change. So if the highway department were to get it up and running, like I say, and that would be the final step to get it ready for the springtime. So we might be looking at an investment of somewhere between $100 and $150, you know, for the tines and some oil and a spark plug and whatever else. I don't know if this, I can't remember if it's belt driven or not, but if there's a belt that might be needed or something like that. So that's what I have in mind. I just really wanted to discuss it with you to see what your thoughts were and to see whether you wanted to get the whole idea or if you want to consider doing it. So looking for some feedback.
I guess my first question is in terms of storage and the shed.
Yeah.
If you fit in the shed lately, there's like no room in there right now with all the stuff that the people put in there over the winter. So we may have to consider not having certain people leave tools, their own personal stuff in there over the winter in order to keep it there.
Okay.
That's my first thought is the actual, I like the idea about if the highway department can help out and get it going. I think it's a great asset to the garden to have it available to the gardeners because there are several people who bring their own rototillers down and till the garden. So to have something there where you don't have to actually get it into your vehicle, get it down there and all that is great. So I think it's a great idea. But the next part to me is about storage and at what point do we, I don't know how big it is, so how much.
Well,
space-
again, it's not a very large unit. I think you were there when we unloaded my,
Oh, the one you used? It's the same
No,
size as
no,
that?
no, that's what I was gonna say. That, the one we unloaded this past spring to do Charlie's garden in the trench, that's a 10 horsepower.
Okay,
This one that I have is probably probably a third of that size. It's not very big.
Oh,
I think it's about a 5 horsepower. I mean, in a 10 by 10 plot or a 20 by 20 plot, it would be fine to do a small area like that. It is a rear tine. It's not one of these ones with the tines in front that you have to hold on to for dear life. It's a rear tine model, so it's very easy to walk behind and very easy to implement the levers as far as reverse and forward and things of that nature. So it's not a big unit, but certainly adequate. You know, I know like the tines on my big one, it's almost a couple of $100 to replace those, right?
Mhm.
So the tines on this one are $64 for a complete set. So I don't know the exact measurement, but it's probably not much wider than the laptop that's sitting in front of me here, as
Okay,
far as the width of the tilling area.
okay, so storage would not be a huge issue.
I don't think so. I was in there, the last time I was in the garden shed was on November 18th when the ladies were there from Harvard and showing them the control panel. I didn't have this particular subject in mind when I was there with them, but my recollection is I think there would be adequate space.
Okay,
So anybody else have any thoughts or questions on whether we should consider doing something like this or not? No one else? Okay. Are you basically in favor of it? Let me put it that way.
Yes.
Okay, so everybody's sort of nodding yes, except Buddy, he's just standing there. Oh, by the way, Buddy, can you hear me? Buddy? Okay, because, Buddy, because you were late, you're next year's chairman. We all voted you chairman.
Actually, I was watching the whole time, but I didn't have the connections how to get hitched on.
Okay. All right, so back to this subject here. I guess if you're generally in favor of it, I guess I'd ask you to approve a couple of things. First of all, perhaps not to exceed expenditure of, say, $150 from our donation account for any parts that may be necessary to get this up and running by the highway department. And then the second thing would be for me to approach the highway department and ask them if they're willing to get it up and running. Is that acceptable to everybody?
Yes.
Okay, Kevin, Deborah?
Yep.
Laura, everybody, okay, all right.
Fine.
All right, so I will proceed with doing that, and we'll see how it works out and see if they're willing to do it for us. And if I can get through the clutter in my bond to pull it out and get it into my truck and down to them, that'll be the next task. All right, let's just continue with the final item on the new business, and then we'll get back to Buddy here concerning the community garden maintenance activity. So the last thing I have there is Massachusetts Senate Bill S2426. This was in the newspaper. This is just something I'd wanted to bring to your attention. You may have seen it in the Worcester Telegram. Every Sunday, this was in the Telegram a couple of Sundays ago. Every Sunday they published the legislative activity in Boston. And this particular legislation, it was approved by the Senate, and it was sent to the House. And I haven't seen anything action that's been done by the House, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But what the legislation deals with, the bill would require local boards of health to provide the local agricultural commission with a copy of any of the board's proposed regulations to farms and farmers markets. The commission would have 45 days to hold public hearings, review the proposed regulations, and make recommendations to the Board of Health. So I don't know some of you may not have been on this commission when we were about a year or two old, but I had sent a letter to our Board of Health requesting that if they took any matters up concerning regulations that might impact the Berlin farming community, we would appreciate knowing that in advance before they implemented such a regulation. They never responded to my letter. So that's probably 12 or 15 years. I don't know how long they've been in existence. I have to look at my records, but it was like the first or second year that we were in existence. So I think this would be a good thing. It would give us legislative backing that would require them to notify us. And we would at least have an opportunity to review, discuss, and as it says, conduct a public hearing on the matter. Just to make sure that any type of regulation they might have in mind wouldn't be too severe or have a negative impact on either farmers markets or the farming community in general. So again, it's just something we want to keep an eye on, and just wanted to make you aware of it. Any questions or comments? Okay, we shall move on then. So, Buddy, I don't know if you were listening in at the time early on. Under old business, we discussed the maintenance of the community garden shed, and I told them that you and I had been in contact, and I had been made aware that the task is basically complete. The only outstanding item is the ramp, which will probably have to be done in the springtime once the soil is workable, because we may have to dig down to make it flush with the threshold. So that would be the only remaining item. We all think you did a great job, by the way. Deborah's seen it by way of photos that a gardener sent her. So it looks great. And on behalf of the commission, I want to thank you for taking on this task, you and your son, and getting it accomplished in a fine manner. I also mentioned that back in October, we had set up a preliminary budget for this task of between $1,400 and $1,500. And to date, we expended $737.07 for the material portion of the task. And I indicated that you might be prepared this evening to give us your final invoice amount. Although I didn't have a specific number in mind, but was under the impression that it would probably fit within this overall budget constraint. So that's where we are on that subject.
Yeah, I did a little bit of research on what I had, and it came up to about $720. So that's what I'm probably invoice you, unless you have a problem with that. I think
Well,
that's
okay,
okay.
so let me just get that down to a little math here in a minute. So it looks like we're at about $1,457 and change. So that's within the planning number that we established back in October. So I think that would work out from my perspective. Anybody have any comments they'd like to make on that or suggestions? All right. Okay. So
Yeah, by the way, I
you
was
think it'll be
listening to you.
720, buddy? Is that?
I was listening to you before when you were.
Okay, all right. Okay, I wasn't sure. Sorry to be redundant.
Well, that's, I didn't get on because I don't know how to use this computer.
Okay, you're breaking up a bit, but I think I got the gist of it. So if you can get that invoice to me, I will process it. I would first like to make a motion that we approve the forthcoming Balance Rock Farm invoice in the amount of $720 for the completion of the maintenance task at the community garden shed. That includes, your number of 720 includes getting the ramp in too, right?
Correct.
All right, just a clarification there. So that is basically my motion. Second, do I have a second on it?
I second it.
Kevin's gonna second it. Motion is made and seconded. Any need for further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
All right,
Everybody in favor? Laura, Deborah?
Yep.
Hello. Okay. I guess we got everybody. Do we unanimously agree to process an invoice for 720?
yep.
Okay. Laura and Deborah are frozen in time here.
Oh,
Okay.
can you hear me?
I can
Yes.
see you moving.
I say yes.
Okay, all right.
See everybody, and I'm
Deborah,
recording the
you have no
minutes.
problem? Deborah's still frozen.
No, we see her. She's-
Oh. Yeah, I don't
Okay,
see.
all right, very good.
Yeah, I raised my hand.
Okay, all right, very good. So, once I get that invoice, I will submit it to our town accountant, and that will basically complete that task using the grant funds. So we will then be looking at coming up with some firm numbers and going ahead to, I think the next thing we should try to get accomplished is the purchase of the necessary raised beds. I think that's a higher priority than getting the fencing nailed down immediately. So maybe in the January, February timeframe, we can get that nailed down and proceed with that task as well. All right. I think that's all I have at the moment. That completes the agenda items. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up or mention, complain about, or whatever?
No complaints. I just want to refer back to Mary McKelk and the food pantry and offering the gardens
Yeah.
plots to the participants. She came up with a few very good points in that it's a wonderful idea, except that a lot of the it's a financial restriction beyond us waiving the amount of money for their plots because of the seeds and the plants and everything that they would need to do financially to actually plant the garden. So
Right.
I made some suggestions to her that many of the gardeners also have extra plants during the year and people have started to give them to one another. She also suggested that maybe she could look into getting a volunteer group to maintain a garden for the food pantry. So she was looking into
Oh,
that.
that'd be excellent.
Yeah, she was looking into that aspect, which I thought was great. And with the support of
Yes.
the other gardeners, we can get plants into that garden for people. It wouldn't cost them any money to do that. So we're working on it. And I wanted to let you know that she had
Good.
also contacted me about it.
No, that's great. I'm glad you did. Oh, good. Okay, very fine. I've been spending some time going through seed catalogs, like a lot of other people this time of year. I'll just throw this out. We had talked about, some kind of a cover crop, if we need to do that in a new area. And, you can get a whole bunch of sunflower seeds real cheap. And I thought that might make a beautiful display down there. And one of the other advantages of sunflowers is that a lot of crops and weeds don't like to grow around the base of sunflowers. The sunflower plant gives off some toxic something or another that plants generally dislike. So if we could get some volunteers and, you know, plant a whole bunch of sunflower seeds in there, it would, I think, put on a very nice display. It would probably help in weed retention, and provided we didn't buy some of the new cultivars that don't produce pollen, because people don't want pollen on their dining room tablecloth. If we produced regular old-fashioned type of, it's a great source for pollinators of all types, not just honeybees, but the butterflies and things of that nature, hummingbirds. So again, just something to think about. Like I say,
Yeah, we should have a
that
pretty
came to
good,
mind while I was thumbing through a myriad of seed catalogs. I'm sorry, Deborah, I didn't hear you.
wow, that was,
I didn't hear you, Deborah.
that was like feedback I just got. I was saying
Connection.
we should know pretty early now that we have an earlier deadline as to whether the garden is going to fill or not.
Right.
I don't know if I'm
Right.
coming across. I'm not lighting up, so it's like I don't know if you
Yeah,
guys.
you're fine. I can see you and I can hear you. You're breaking up a little bit, but again, I got the gist of it.
Okay. All right.
Okay. Anything else? Have a motion to adjourn? Kevin?
I move that we adjourn.
A motion to adjourn?
Second.
There we go. All right, very good. Thank you, folks. Stay safe.